One day, my son brought someone special home. The moment the door opened, I froze.
Mom, Dad, is this the person I'm seeing?
Hello, I'm Kim Ju. Juno often brags about his parents, so I really wanted to meet him. Haha.
Oh yes. Nice to meet you. I was shocked inside, but I couldn't show it, hide it. The thought of someone like this marrying my son was unbearable. Before I begin, please subscribe and like, which are free. Every little bit of your attention means a lot to me. Uhamamunay. Let's get started right now. My name is Bang Myung, and I'm 65 years old this year. I was an elementary school teacher for over 30 years teaching children as a children. It's been 6 months since I retired, and I've been feeling suffocated just staying home. Every morning as I watched my husband, Park Dong-soo, and my son, Junho, leave for work, a thought suddenly occurred to me. I wanted to personally clean this body, the space where our family works and thou inly works. It wasn't just curiosity. It was a similar feeling to how, after 30 years of caring for children in a classroom, when I told my husband I wanted to work at a company, he was initially shocked. The CEO's wife questioned why I even bothered working. But I was firm. I told him I wanted to work for our company, even if it meant cleaning. I convinced him that I wanted to keep our family's workspace clean. Eventually, my husband agreed. However, there was one important condition. I was never to reveal my identity. To the other employees, I was simply the new cleaning lady. I liked that. I wanted to work as a real clean insan special treatment. What is that? On my first day, I woke up earlier than usual and dressed neatly. When I looked in the mirror, I saw a different side of myself after 30 years of teaching. But my heart was as excited as the day I was assigned. I was excited about this new challenge. When I arrived at the office, the HR department gave me a brief job description. It was basic work like cleaning the bathrooms on each floor, sweeping the office floors, and emptying the trash cans. Having taught for 30 years, I've always valued organization, so it didn't seem difficult. My fellow cleaning ladies welcomed me warmly. They were all friendly and warm. Hearing the expertise of those who had been in the business for many years made me feel like I could adapt quickly. I started my first day. I felt a sense of pride as I mopped the floor. My husband, knowing our son would be working in this space, felt even more diligent about cleaning. I carefully inspected every nook and cranny. During lunch, I saw Junho walking down the hallway. He didn't recognize me and just walked past, but it was okay. It was a new experience. It was nice to be able to watch my son work from afar. When I returned home after a long day, my whole body ached. It was hard because it had been so long since I'd done something physically demanding. But strangely, I felt a sense of relief. It was a completely different experience from teaching children for 30 years, but I felt a sense of accomplishment. My husband asked me how I felt on my first day. I said it was better than I expected, and that I felt a sense of pride. I really did. More than anything, I felt a great sense of pride in personally keeping our family's workspace clean. The next day, and the day after that, was no different. I cleaned diligently every day. It was difficult at times, but strangely, I felt a sense of peace. It felt like a new chapter in my life had begun. After a week, I became somewhat accustomed to the company atmosphere. Most employees simply regarded me as a cleaning lady. Some gave me a brief greeting while others treated me like I didn't exist. It was a new experience for me, having been a respected teacher for 30 years. But I didn't pay much attention to it. I found the various reactions fascinating. I thought it was a chance to see people's true selves. But one person in particular stood out. It was Kim Ju, an assistant manager in the HR department. She looked to be around 38 and from the moment I met her, I felt uncomfortable. He was a stark contrast to the other employees. The first criticism was about the bathroom cleaning. He told me I hadn't cleaned it properly and told me to redo it. I checked the bathroom again and couldn't find anything particularly dirty. So I silently cleaned it again. As a new employee, I figured I should be more thorough. This time, he pointed out my trash can emptying schedule. He told me I was running too late and needed to be on time. In fact, I was only 2 minutes late, but I promised to be more careful. In the future, I've met a lot of people in my 30 years as a teacher. I've met a few people like Kim Jui, people who bow to authority, but hesitate to act boldly in front of those less powerful than them. But I couldn't be sure, As the days passed, Kim Jui's behavior became even more blatant. He would give me orders several times a day for trivial things. He'd already told me to mop the floor in the morning, and he'd tell me to redo the mop because there were footprints in the hallway. The other cleaning ladies didn't get that treatment, but she was being particularly picky with me. A fellow cleaning lady cautiously asked, "Why does it seem like Assistant Manager Kim Ju-hai is only being picky with me?" I couldn't figure it out either. We were just meeting for the first time, and I was really curious why she was being so picky with me. I thought it was just part of the adjustment process. I've been teaching children for 30 years. But as time went on, Kim Ju... She even started subtly belittling me about my age, suggesting my eyesight had dimmed with age. That's when I really got angry. I couldn't stand being treated like I was old. When I got home that day, I looked in the mirror. The teacher I'd been respecting for 30 years was gone. Bas. I was just an ordinary building cleaning lady. But I didn't want to give up. In fact, it made me stronger. I decided to observe Kim Ju-i a little more closely. As I observed her further, I discovered something interesting. Kim Ju-ai was a completely different person in front of her superiors. She was bright, kind, and polite. But she was completely different in front of the cleaning ladies and junior staff. Now it was clear. Kim Ju-i was a typical bully, someone who used his position to bully the weaker ones. About a month later, Juno suddenly invited me to a family dinner. There was a special excitement in her voice. I knew intuitively that he was bringing a woman he was considering marrying. It was a mother's instinct, I guess. My husband must have noticed because he playfully asked her, "Who are you bringing, Bean?" Jung-woo simply said she was a co-worker. But I could tell her expression that she was someone special. That evening, I came home earlier than usual and prepared dinner. I thought to myself, if my son cherished someone, I should treat him well. I've met countless parents in my 30 years as a teacher, but this time I felt even more nervous. Because this person could be our son's life partner. Even as I prepared the food with care, I wasn't curious, cause what kind of person would he be? I hoped he would be a good fit for our son. The doorbell rang, and Junho came in with someone. At that moment, I froze. The woman I saw through the door was Kim Joo-yi, the same woman who had been harassing me at work. How could the world be this small? My head sank. I couldn't believe this was my son's lover. For a moment, I was speechless. Kim Joo-yi greeted me politely with a bright expression. It was as if she didn't recognize me. She was completely different from how I'd seen her at work. She was polite and well-groomed. She seemed like a different person. I finally came to my senses and accepted her greeting. But my feelings were incredibly complicated. I knew how she treated me at work. Yet now she was acting so different. Kim Joo-yi was truly perfect at dinner. She responded appropriately to my husband's work stories and was polite to me. She never failed to compliment the food and even offered to help with the dishes. She seemed like a truly wonderful daughter-in-law. But I knew this person's true nature. I'd seen clearly how she acted around vulnerable people. Wow. Junho's gaze toward Kim Joo-il was extraordinary. I could feel his genuine love for her. He said they'd been dating for over a year. It was so obvious he'd been hiding it all this time. Wow. My husband also showed interest in Kim Joo-hee. He praised her for being smart, polite. He said she was knowledgeable about company affairs and diligent. I was the only one confused. How could I explain how this person was so two-faced? And he kept it a secret that he was working as a janitor at the company. After Kim Joo-yi left, Junho asked, "How are you? Are you okay?" My husband was the first to respond positively, and then asked my opinion. I hesitated for a while before saying I seemed like a good person. It was a lie. But what could I say in front of my son? There was no evidence, and it was a complicated situation to explain. I couldn't sleep that night. Kim Joo-yi's two faces kept flashing through my mind. The thought of my son marrying this person was terrifying. From the next day on, work life became even more painful. Every time I saw Kim Joo-yi's face, I thought back to dinner last night. The disparity between how perfect she had been then and how she now looked to me was terrifying. It started all over again this morning. She picked up the mop and nitpicked, saying I had done a poor job cleaning the day before. I silently picked up the mop and cleaned again. But inside, anger was welling up. Until yesterday, she was just a stranger. But now she was thinking of marrying my son, and I was even angrier. Could this person really be my daughter-in-law? I sat alone during lunch and thought deeply. Should I tell my son or not? But how could I tell him? The fact that I was working as a janitor at the company was... And I couldn't tell him that I was being bullied by Kim Joo-hee. And even if I did, would he believe me? My son Junho must have thought Kim Joo-hee was the perfect woman. He'd never seen anything like that in the year we'd been together. A few more days passed and Kim Joo-sam's abusive behavior got worse. She started telling me to quit completely. She said I was too old to do my job properly and suggested I find another job. It was really hard to bear. In my 30 years as a teacher, I'd never experienced such humiliation. But I held on tight. I knew that if I acted rashly, it could lead to bigger problems. When I got home that day, I looked in the mirror and thought for a long time. The image of the respected teacher I taught for 30 years was gone, but I didn't want to give up. Junno brought up Kim Joo-hee again during dinner, Mima. He said he was seriously considering marriage. I asked him what he thought next spring would be like. My husband said yes. He said she was a good person, and that she would get along well with our son. Seeing my son's happy expression only made me more confused. That night when I was alone with my husband, I cautiously asked him what Kagibi's evaluation at work was. Agia ogage. He said there were no particular problems. He said she was capable and hardworking. Of course, he didn't know Buail. He's close the CEO, so he wouldn't know such details. People like Kim Joo-hee are easy to overlook. I eventually kept quiet, but I made up my mind, and I had to find a way to clearly show Kim Joo-hee her true self. I watched for a few more days. I wanted to see if Kim Joo-hee was really acting this way towards me or towards others. Ds. And it became clearer and clearer. Kim Joo-hee behaved the same way towards anyone in a weaker position than her. I couldn't stand it anymore. While I was debating whether to expose Kim Joo-hee, I stumbled upon a crucial moment. One day, while cleaning, I overheard a massage between another employee near Kim Joo-hee Amanahi's desk. The junior employee cautiously asked, why were you so stern toward the cleaning ladies? What his? Kim Joo-hee's response was shocking. He said they were paid to do their jobs, so they had to be done properly. He said if you were too sloppy, they'd just do a sloppy job. When a junior colleague suggested he was being a bit harsh, Kim Joo-hee said something even more surprising. He said he was an employee of the company and the cleaning ladies, so it was normal. I was dumbfounded that he could discriminate people who work in that space. What was even more shocking was what happened next. He said he didn't like me. He said I had a certain arrogance and that is why he treated me kidding. I just worked quietly. From then on, I observed Kim Joo-hee more closely, and I discovered something truly astonishing. She behaved similarly, not only to me, but to anyone in a less powerful position. The same thing happened when the delivery man brought the package. He got annoyed that I was late and told me to be on time next time. It was heartbreaking to see the delivery man bow his head in apology. It was even worse for new employees. He'd publicly scold them for even the smallest mistake. He'd humiliate them in front of everyone, asking why they were working, if they were just going to do it half-heartedly. I still remember the flustered look on his face. Kim Joo-hee's true nature gradually emerged. He was a typical authoritarian and bossy person. He'd act completely different in front of the employees, but he'd show his true colors around the weaker ones. One day I was talking to a fellow cleaning lady and got more concrete evidence. I realized I wasn't the only one being treated this way. The other cleaning ladies had similar experiences with Kim Joo-hee. They said she'd make them clean the bathrooms over and over again, nitpick over trivial things, and even made disrespectful remarks to older employees, and everyone called Kim Ju-hee Gapjil Yao. I asked other employees in other departments to see what their reputations were, other citizens were. The answers I got were similar. While he seemed nice to his coworkers, he was often criticized by his juniors and external contractors as being harsh. I gradually became more certain. Kim Ju-won had a habit of bullying the weak. The thought of someone like him marrying my son was unbearable. In my 30 years as a teacher, I've met countless people, but I've never seen anyone as faced as Kim Ju-hee. She had two completely different faces. I couldn't hesitate any longer. I knew my son shouldn't marry someone like this, but I was at a loss as to what to do. Finally, the decisive moment arrived. Juno announced his marriage to Kim Ju-hee and said he would have a brief introduction with the employees at the company office. He wanted to formally introduce himself to his colleagues. I woke up early that morning and looked in the mirror. I had a feeling today would be a decisive day. It was time to summon all the courage I'd fought for in my 30 years as a teacher. The employees gathered in the company lobby. My husband was there, and I watched from a corner organizing cleaning supplies. My heart was pounding, but I knew I couldn't put it off any longer. Juno began speaking with a bright expression. He announced that he had good news and that he and Kim Ju-hee would be getting married next spring. Applause erupted and Kim Ju-in smiled shyly and greeted me. Everything seemed perfect, the image. A happy couple, nish. But I knew Kim Jo-in's true nature. I couldn't let this go. My husband asked her how she usually got along with employees in LA's. Kim Ju-in answered confidently. She said she tried to maintain good relationships with everyone and especially tried to respect every member of the company. When she said she respected every member, I couldn't hold back any longer. Suddenly, my voice came out. Everyone turned to me, too. My husband and Juno looked surprised. I spoke calmly but firmly. I wanted to ask if she truly respected every member. I then revealed my identity. Mi-young, Sej is in charge of cleaning at this company. The commotion died down. People started whispering. I saw Kim Ju-hee's face harden for a moment. It seemed she recognized me now. I kept asking her if she remembered how Kim Ju-hee treated me, kissed and treated me. How she picked on me several times a day, told me I was too old to do my job properly, and told me to quit. I told her in detail how she discriminated against me, saying that employees and cleaners were different. The lobby was completely quiet. Juno was surprised and asked why I cleaned here. My husband looked confused, but he seemed to understand why I was saying this. Kim Ju-hee tried to make excuses, but others began to testify. They said their fellow cleaning ladies were Svayo and Kaishtamen similarly. They said it was the same for the delivery drivers and the new employees. Other employees also came forward one by one to testify. The story of the external contractors who had complained about Kim Ju-hee's constant prickliness as well as the public scolding she'd received when she was a new employee came up. Kim Ju-in was completely flustered. Her face flushed red. She tried to make excuses saying it was due to work-related needs, but it was too late. There were too many witnesses and evidence. Her husband asked in a heavy voice. Is this true, Mseradima? Junho also looked at Kim Joo-hee, shocked. I spoke for the last time, I told her that if there was anything I'd learned in 30 years of teaching, it was that a person's true character is revealed by how they treat the weak. Kim Joo-eun couldn't say anything else. Everything was out there. In complete silence, the truth became clear. From that day on, everything changed. Even the atmosphere at the company changed. Many people were shocked when Kim Joo-hee's true self was revealed. The superiors in particular were shocked by the things they had been completely unaware of. Juno didn't say anything for several days. The shock must have been immense. After dating for over a year, I discovered a side of Kim Joo-hee I'd never known before. Seeing the true face of the person I loved must have been incredibly difficult. The atmosphere at home became heavy. My husband didn't say anything, and I wondered if I'd been too harsh. But I had no regrets. It was something that would eventually come out, and I was glad I found out before we got married. A week later, Junno told me, quote, "You called off your wedding with Kim Joo-hee. I'd expected it, but seeing my son so hurt broke my heart." Junho took it more calmly than I expected. He said that after a deeper conversation with Kim Joo-hee, he discovered many aspects of me that he hadn't known about before. He realized that our values differed significantly, not just in the bullying issue, but in other areas as well. He said he was initially angry with me and asked why I hadn't told him before. But he quickly understood. He said that when he was in love, he wouldn't have believed me no matter how much I told him. He also asked why I was doing the cleaning job. I told him honestly. I told her I wanted to personally clean the space where our family work and that I thought I could learn a lot from this kind of work. It really was. This work allowed me to see the true colors of people. I learned who truly good people are, regardless of their status or age, and there were also major changes at the company. Owner Kim eventually resigned. It was difficult for her to stay there anymore because everyone knew about the bullying. The new HR staff member was completely different. She greeted the cleaning ladies politely and treated all employees equally. She was also kind to delivery workers and external partners. My husband became more aware of the bullying issue at the company after this incident. He promised to prevent such incidents in the future and to create a culture where all employees respect each other. We also established regular channels to hear from employees. The way my employees viewed me changed. At first, I was just a cleaning lady. But now they knew I was a former teacher and the CEO's wife and the CEO's wife. But I still continued to do my cleaning work. My relationships with my coworkers and cleaning ladies also deepened. They thanked me, saying that thanks to me, they could now work with dignity. That's when I realized that what I did wasn't just for myself. I was speaking up on behalf of many vulnerable people. A few months later, the company atmosphere completely changed. A culture of mutual respect was established among all employees. Bullying never happened again. 3 months have passed since the Kim Joo incident. Now the company atmosphere is completely different. A culture of mutual respect has firmly taken root among all employees. I greet the cleaning ladies politely and treat the delivery drivers kindly. I I still wake up early every morning and go to work. I carry my cleaning supplies and meticulously clean every nook and cranny. Some people still wonder why the CEO's wife would do such and some that may much in this. Every time they ask, I always answer the same way. It's not difficult, it's meaningful work. I'm personally making sure my family's workspace is in Iyadi. And that's true in that I feel truly rewarded at cleaning every day. I've been a teacher for 30 years, but I also consider this work a form of education. Creating a clean environment has a positive impact on people. I believe it's an indirect but definite form of education. Juno is meeting someone new. This time, I met someone truly wonderful. She's kind and polite to everyone. I saw her greet the cleaning ladies politely every time she came to work. She even always says thank you to the delivery man. He's a completely different person from Kim Ju-ae. I can sense that she's a truly warm-hearted person. This time, I feel truly reassured. One day, a new employee asked me for advice. She wanted to know how to thrive at work. I thought for a moment and then answered. She said that the most important thing is how you treat vulnerable people. I told her that a person's true character is revealed by how you treat people like the cleaners, delivery people, and juniors. The new employee nodded and said he would keep that in mind. These days, I sometimes get old students coming to visit me. They're already adults. At first, they're surprised by what I do here, but after I understand. Some even praise me, saying, I find meaning in whatever I do. Hearing that makes me so proud. I'm grateful that students I've taught for 30 years come to visit me. It makes me realize I've done a good job. Yesterday, another situation arose. I saw a new employee speaking informally to the cleaning lady. I immediately went over and told her to speak more politely. We're all colleagues at the same company. The employee was shocked and immediately apologized. She said she'd be more careful in the future. Experiences like this have only strengthened my conviction. The real reason I do this job is not just cleaning, but showing people what neno itike so hainao mistyle site. I'm showing them firsthand that if you bully others and harass them, it will eventually come back to haunt you. Just like Kim Chu-yi, the person who bullied the weak ultimately lost everything. I lost my job, my love, and people's trust. Even now, I wake up early every morning and look in the mirror. I'm just an ordinary 65-year-old woman. But my heart is as excited as it was when I first stood in front of the podium 30 years ago. I'm filled with anticipation for a new day. Today, I go to work, determined to keep my family's workspace clean. And I pledge to maintain an environment where everyone can work with mutual respect. I've been a teacher for 30 years, but now I teach people differently. When it's not just about words, it's about action. I'm demonstrating through my actions how to live and how to treat others. Base. A new day begins for this former teacher turned janitor. It seems ordinary, but it's filled with meaning, something far more profound than ordinary. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe and like. Every little bit of your attention means a lot to me.